Assalamualaikum, hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Adelia Rana, but you can call me Delia. I'm from English department. Now I'm 2 semesters. In this video, I will explain about phrase structure rules. What's phrase structure rules? In this video, we are going to be talking about 3 things. We are going to talk about lexical categories, otherwise known as parts of speech, which will be important for understanding phrase structure rules, which in turn will be important for understanding how to draw tree structure or tree diagram. Alright, so first let's talk about lexical categories, which is really just a fancy way of saying parts of speech. But get in the habit of saying lexical, I think it makes a little bit more sense than parts of speech, which is a phrase you probably remember from English class. Anyway, when we are talking about drawing tree structure, it's really important to know these lexical categories, and you probably know most, if not all of them. But anyway, let's just briefly review what they are. So, a noun, typically is some sort of person, place, or thing as a subject in English. They are nouns. They pretty much have to be nouns, so cat, house, swimming pool, person, place, or thing. Adjective. Adjectives are always going with nouns because adjectives describe or modify nouns like big, hug, beautiful, that sort of thing. Verbs are the action in the sentence, so it's denoting some sort of action or event. So swim, live, there was a real instance of verbs. Adverbs. Adverbs go with verbs, just like adjectives always go with nouns, and it's easy to forget that, but adverb has the word verb in it, so use that as a mnemonic device to remember. Adverbs are always describing verbs, just like adjectives are always describing nouns in English. You almost always know that you are dealing with an adverb because most of the time the word will end in L. While there are some exceptions, so like friendly or ugly, those are actually adjectives because they always describe nouns, but things like quickly, slowly, those describe verbs, and as such we want to call them pronouns. Pronouns are very similar to nouns. They behave almost the same exact way as nouns in English, but I'm treating them as 2 different things, just to kind of get you used to this technical difference between the two. So pronouns are always kind of pointing to someone or something like that, or not that, actually you, she, he, it, so it's representing a person or a thing. Determiner. Determiner is the next one, and I want to call your attention to this one because your book doesn't cover determiners. It just mentions articles, a, and, or. The articles and determiners in this class you can pretty much use them interchangeably because we are not going into any great detail with either one of them, but technically there is a difference. Articles are part of a bigger category called determiners. Determiners also include things like possessive sounds like his, her, your. Demonstrative is like this, that, this, those. Quantifiers like one, some, many, that sort of thing. So maybe get used to the distinction between articles and determiners, but in this class you can use the two interchangeably. It's totally fine. This last one, maybe you've never heard before. It's called an adposition. It includes something that you've definitely heard before, a preposition. I'm and is sort of asserting the trajectory towards something like to into the house of from as in from the pool near us in near the mountain, so it has something to do in English with the direction or occasion of something. But what makes those prepositions in English is that they possess that object complement. They always go before. They always go before it and its preposition. But some language do the opposite. They do what's called postposition, like Japanese, Turkish, Arabic, Indonesian, etc. They use not prepositions but postpositions. So the things comes stir of the object or complement and put all those together. Prepositions and postpositions are part of bigger category adpositions. Knowing this is going to be really important in order to draw accurate the tree diagrams. Alright, so now let's talk about phrase structure rules. This is where we can start to see how language is distinguish themselves from one another, because while a lot of different language have nouns and verbs, adjective and adverbs, it's the phrase structure rules that's okay tell you how you can combine those elements in which words are acceptable to form sentence in that language. So here we have phrase structure rules, but keep in mind that these are the phrase structure rules for English. So let me just break down what this core means. So the first is S, or NPVP, that basically a certain mathing is used to say that an S or a sentence consists of a noun phrase and a verb phrase. You have to have both the noun phrase followed by the verb phrase in that order in English to have the well-formed acceptable sentence. So what goes into a noun phrase? You may ask, well, a noun phrase consists of a noun minimally. You have to have a noun. You have a noun phrase that is actually just one word. I know it sounds weird that a whole phrase consists of just one word, but that's technically true. However, you will notice that these parentheses are around things like determiners, adjectives, and a prepositional phrase that we'll get to in a second. The prepositional mean that they are optional. You don't need them, but very often get them in noun phrases. So you can have something like just house that could be a noun phrase, but it could also be something like the red house or the red house on the corner as a prepositional phrase. So a prepositional phrase, then you have to have a preposition in a noun phrase. So again, that preposition to never be used from those are all examples of prepositions in English, but they always come with some sort of noun phrase. So near the pool, by the mountain, the pool, the mountain. Those are examples of noun phrase in English. And then a VP, a verb phrase, minimally consists of a verb. You could have a verb phrase that is just one word, just a verb, and that's fine, but very often in English you get more than that. You get optionally a noun phrase followed by a prepositional phrase, and you very often get an adverb now. Not that if put an adverb over here, but it could very often precede the verb in English, like he quickly ran over here and quickly either one. It's totally fine. English allows small or medium of movement for adverb. So just knowing also that these phrase structure rules are a little bit different. It's textbook. This is us to talk about ambiguity and tree structure in just a moment. So I invite you to kind of remember this and the ones that you will, but these are a little bit more specific. So just to now to keep track of them. So anytime you are asked to draw a tree structure, draw a top down, the first thing you want to do is to put an S up top. That means sentence. That whatever you're drawing is going to be a sentence for our purpose. In this class, we are just really going to be talking sentence here. So remember all three structure or phrase structure rule in English that a sentence minimally consists of a noun phrase and a verb phrase. So it's always useful to give yourself a lot of space when you are drawing these three structures because things become cluttered down here. So the more space you give yourself up here, the easier it's down here. You'll see what I mean in a moment. So we have a noun phrase and a verb phrase. So all three structures that he asks to draw in this class. Get a start like this. So we can take a lot of sentence and represent intro. This very simple tree diagram right here like this sentence, he left. So we need to do a little bit more detail. We can't just do noun phrase and then draw out here. We've got to specify what this intermediate note is here. And we want to call that a pronoun. So a pronoun as in he. Well, right after that, we have the verb left. So let's just remind ourselves that it's a verb left. So it's a very simple three diagrams for that sentence. He left. Let's start to complicate it a little bit more time. So let's throw in an adverb. The flight. He left quickly. Well, we've already got a verb phrase here. And because quickly as an adverb is describing something about the verb, we want to connect it to the verb phrase. So that will be an example of how we represent the phrase, the sentence he left quickly in English. Well, let's take one that's maybe a little bit more complicated and I'll leave up the NB and the VB. Because like I said, that's how all of the sentences are going to start. So let's change it around a bit. Let's take a sentence like the big man left quickly. Well, alright, now we have got to do something about the noun phrase here. So we have the big man. So maybe take a second, pause this video, see if you can figure out how to draw the rest of this tree diagram. Otherwise, we'll walk you through it. So we have let's start out with take it word by word. What lexical categories trees that belong to? It's an article technically, but it's also a determiner. Let's just call it a determiner here. So we have the determiner. We have two other words that we need to take care of in this noun phrase. Big man. So what's big? That is an adjective. So we are getting there, almost done with this noun phrase, and now we have the noun man. Then we have the verb phrase. So once you reach the verb in English, you now automatically write off the best. That verb and everything after it is going to be part of the verb phrase, just as a helpful tip. So we have the verb left, and then once again we have this adverb quickly. How do you know you are dealing with an adverb? Well, most of the time, if it ends You can be pretty sure it is an adverb as it is. In this case, it's saying something about the quality of the verb. How quickly did he leave, or how did he leave quickly? So let's take another one. How about a transitive sentence where you get a subject, a verb, and object? So let's take a slightly more complicated. The man hit the ball with the bat. Well, alright, so what do we have here? Once again, the determiner, the, and the noun is man. Hit the ball with the bat. Starts with that verb. Hit, everything after it has to be part of the verb phrase. Then we have the noun phrase with the determiner, the, and the noun ball. But then we have this prepositional phrase with the ball. So remember our phrase structure rules in English say that a prepositional phrase must contain a preposition and a noun phrase. So that tells you right here that with the ball has to start with the preposition with, and then you have another noun phrase within this prepositional phrase. The, it's a determiner, and then you have the noun spell. The man hit the ball with the bat. So that's again how you can see these embedding phrases within phrases, so you can get the recursive property that we see in human language. So this is basically how you draw tree structure, but let's take the idea a little bit further by showing how tree structure can actually distinguish meanings and structurally ambiguous utterances. So structural ambiguity arises when you have one sentence that called and leads to possible meanings. Alright, so let's take a sentence like, I killed a mouse in my pajamas. I'm sorry, it's a kind of fun example, but it's a great example that illustrates structural ambiguity. I killed a mouse in my pajamas. There's two possible meanings to that utterance. One is that you were actually wearing pajamas when you killed the mouse. The other possible meaning is that you killed a mouse and that mouse happened to either curl up your pajamas while you were wearing them, or the pajamas were on the ground and you saw the mouse kind of skittering in them and that's when you killed the mouse. Either way, I know this is not a pleasant talk, but again, great example of structural ambiguity, so we can actually represent part of those possible meanings through three structures. So let's take the first of those possible meanings, that I was wearing pajamas and happened to kill a mouse wherever it was. So again, we have the noun here, or I should be a little bit specific, that's a pronoun I, and then we have the verb killed. So again, there's the verb everything after it and including it as part of the verb phrase. It's kind of a long sentence stop, so let's drag our verb not all the way over here, which is okay. I killed, now have a mouse. Alright, so what kind of phrase is a mouse? That's right, it's a noun phrase. So we have this determiner, I killed, and then the noun mouse. And now we have what kind of phrase in my pajamas? Yeah, that is a prepositional phrase. So it starts with the preposition in, and then we have my pajamas. That's also a phrase, and it's a noun phrase. And it's also got that determiner, a possessive noun. More especially my and then you have the noun hayamas. So this is basically what the tree the tree structure basically is going to look like for both of these meanings. But it's all about where we connect this prepositional phrase to disambiguate the meanings. Okay, I think enough for I explained about phrase structure rules. I'm so sorry and see you.